Committee will come to order. Members, as well as members of the public, just want to kind of lay the landscape for us. Again, I do this at every hearing because it is important to me that we move expeditiously but substantively in order to make sure that the proposals that are before the committee get the ample time and attention that they need. One of the things that I try to make sure of is that when the author goes up, two of the testifiers can join the author at the table. All testimonies will be, outside of the author, will be 2 minutes. And I'm really strict on the 2 minutes. If you feel like there's more that you need to say, you can certainly submit something to us in writing and we will distribute it to the committee. Here's the other reason for it. Number two, my expectation is that every testimony, especially for one bill, will build on each other. So I try to avoid people repeating the same thing that somebody else said, because then you'll just keep repeating yourself and someone becomes unnecessary. So so I just think that's really important because we want to make sure that we can learn as much as we can around each proposal. Last but certainly not least, the other reason why I move things along is because we want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity that's on the agenda, have an opportunity to present, and I like to do it respectfully within the time that's been allotted this committee. So with that being said, we will start with Senator Mohamed. That would be Senate File 1693. If I, for some reason, say your name incorrectly, please correct me, because blame it on my head and not my heart. So as Senator Mohamed goes to the table, she has a number of bills today, so she will be stationed at the testifiers table today. And we'll have Oumou join her at the table, if you'd be so kind. And then Tony Zaraka, please join her at the table. And then we'll certainly come to the other two after they finish testifying. But we want to make sure that we welcome each person to the committee here, and we will proceed with that. Senate File 1693, Senator Mohamed, this is the Youthbuild Program Appropriation. Thank you and welcome to your committee where you're the vice chair. So if you'll be so kind as to make your opening statements, and then we'll go to your testifiers. Great. Senator Mohamed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Before you is Senate File 1693. And I just want to take the time to thank you for hearing this bill, which I hope helps support expansion of a proven program with immense benefits. Sometimes there are programs that kill two birds with one stone, or in this case, heal two birds with one stone. Youthbuild gives young people an opportunity to learn marketable skills and contribute to the public good in a meaningful way. It helps people aged between 16 to 24 who have not been successful in a traditional program, teach them construction and other readily marketing skills. It creates a very reasonable cost, permanent housing for low-income families and families experiencing homelessness. In addition, deed indicates that there is more than a $3 return on every dollar spent on Youthbuild. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Mohamed, for that. So we'll go to your first testifier, which would be Oumou.
Yes.
Did I get it right?
Yeah, you do.
I was close. Okay, thank you so much, and welcome to the committee. If you'd be so kind as to state your name again for the record, who you're with, and please begin with your 2 minutes of testimony. Thank you, and welcome again.
Thank you. Hello, Chair, Champion, and Co-Chair Mohamed. I'm very thankful for the opportunity to testify on SF 1963. My name is Oumou Verbeten, and I'm 30 years old. I was born in Myanmar, and my country has been raised by war in 1948, and then we forced to live in refugee camp. That's what the hardest year of my life. We have to live in a small place, not bigger than the animal can even live in right there. And then we are treated like animals. We cannot go outside of the refugee camp. When I was 19 years, I have a big opportunity to come to USA, but I have to leave my family, my country, and my friend. First time when I came here, I barely speak English. I don't even understand what people say. That's a very hard moment. And then in America, it's very hard to survive. You can speak English, you have no job experience, but after a couple of years, I joined the Youthbuild program. And then I learned a lot of English skills, and I learned a lot of building house. They helped me a lot, and then I joined the union. And I make a lot of, I made a progress. I started building my life step by step. First I came here, I have nothing. Right now, I have everything. I own my home. I make more than $40 per hour. That's all become from the Youthbuild programs. My life's changed. And then I would like to take the opportunity to thank the Youthbuild program in here, and then I recommend that young people to join the Youthbuild program to improve their life, improve their livelihood, and then I hope that you will support them, increase their funding for the younger people like me and for the other. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, very much for your testimony. And congratulations on all your success. We certainly appreciate that. Any questions for the testifier? If none, we will go to Mr. Zaradka. There you go. If you introduce yourself for the record and who you're with, and proceed with your 2 minutes of testimony.
My name is Tony Zaradka. I'm the construction program manager at the Youthbuild program at Change Inc. Gap School, located in St. Paul. I've been with the program for over 18 years now. We've had lots of successful graduates. Actually, thousands of students have come through our doors. Many of them have graduated, went on to colleges. Many have went on to registered apprenticeships. We have students in the Carpenters Floor Covers Union, the Finishing Trades Union, the Roofing Union, and the Bricklayers Union. Those jobs, once reach journeyman status, are all over $30 an hour. We also place our students in many construction-related manufacturing jobs as well. We have over 100 of our graduates are at Anderson Windows, doing great work down there. Intech Plastics is another one of our manufacturing partners. Many of our students are in colleges. A lot of our students go on to continue their AmeriCorps service at programs like Northern Bedrock, which does much more community service. Our students are all AmeriCorps members as well, which do service in the community and we also provide low-income housing. We build single-family homes. We remodel homes. In the years I've been at Youthbuild, we've worked on over 25 of those projects. If we did get increased funding, we could surely provide more housing for low-income people and homeless folks as well.
Thank you so very much for that testimony. We sincerely appreciate it. Any questions for the testifiers? Seeing none, thank you again for your testimony, and we'll go to Khalik Rogers, and he will replace you there, sir. And if you'll stay sitting on the front row, that'd be great, just in case there's some other questions. And Dr. Tom Koki. So we'll start with Khalik Rogers. Thank you so much. Welcome to the committee. Identify yourself for the record and who you're with, and give us your 2 minutes of testimony. Welcome.
Absolutely. Khalik Rogers of Good Riddance Consulting. I'm the founder and director there. So thank you, chair, members, and the committee. I just want to thank you for this ability to testify, and I don't take this opportunity for granted. Of course, for me, it'd be remiss for me not to acknowledge that my journey to get here was not linear in any way, shape, or form. I come from very humble beginnings. And so being born in, I'm a Chicago native, and my parents trying to see just what they could do to create a different opportunity for me and my siblings. So they took a leap of faith, packing up what we had and their 5 children to move here to Minnesota to seek a new beginning. But we ended up finding out that the opportunities here were just slightly greater, but not as abundant as my parents had imagined. We struggled for months to find housing, and we spent the money that we did have on countless applications for rental to rent homes. And unfortunately, because we didn't have a Minnesota rental history, we're not able to get the said apartments we were looking for, which ultimately led my family to have to go into a shelter. And I never forgot that experience because those shelters at that time were only single parent. So they ended up splitting our family and our household because my father couldn't come as well. And so moments like that never escaped my mind. And that's what empowered me to become a change maker and to start my company to amplify the voices of community as a whole. So, I strive to make my presence here in this space and in many other institutions not to be an anomaly, but to change the narrative so the people that look like us and look like you all, feel a sense of belonging in these spaces. And I honestly feel if we take a data-driven and human-centered approach to these problems, we can collaboratively build the community that we want to see. And just quickly, just to go over some data that will support the work that we're doing here with Youthbuild, just the premier ones is that what will be done to ensure that Youthbuild receives more money? If they do, will those funds go to actual students in low-income families? Currently, Minnesota State Statute 116L.361-116L.366 requires that Youthbuild program work experience training must result in affordable housing for low-income or very low-income families or individuals. So just to ensure that those funds go to them.
Well, thank you so much for your testimony. Before we ask you any questions, we're going to go to the other testifier, and then you both be there, and then I'll see if we have any questions from the committee.
Sure thing.
All right. Dr. Tom Koki? So you are not on my list, but before we get to Dr. Tom Koki, what's your name, sir? I don't know where you are on the list.
Chapuis.
Okay. So are you here to testify because you are not on the list?
I'm here with my.
It's okay if you want to testify. I just want to. Huh? Okay. All right.
I think he was going with the
know that
flow.
you're more than welcome to testify. I wasn't trying to scare you. I know I have a mean-looking face, but I wasn't trying to scare you. Dr. Koki.
Yes, Chair, members of the committee, thank you for letting me testify on Youthbuild. I am Thomas Kotke, living at 571 Otis Avenue in St. Paul. I'm a cardiologist and medical director for well-being at Health Partners Health Plan. My advocacy for Youthbuild is personal. You are healthy, not so much because of the health services I might offer you, but because you have an education, and with that education, you can generate adequate income. When a homeless youth person is given an opportunity to participate in Youthbuild, a life expectancy deficit of 20 to 30 years is erased, and they are placed on a path to health and well-being. In addition to providing low-cost homeownership opportunities for low-income families, the Youthbuild participant earns a high school diploma or GED, essentially building blocks for health. The Youthbuild participant enters a training and employment stream that provides them with an opportunity to earn a respectable income, also essential building blocks for health. Not to be overlooked, the Youthbuild participant will be acquiring the skills that give them respect, dignity, meaning, and purpose, critical building blocks for well-being that homeless youth lack. After participating in Youthbuild, the participant will be able to drive by a home and say, I built that. I made it possible for that family to own a home. I contributed to my community. The power of these words to create well-being cannot be overstated. Thank you, Chair and Committee. Once again, please fund Youthbuild as in SF 1693. You will not only increase the stock of low-cost, high-quality housing, you will change for the better and forever the lives of young men and women. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Koki. I appreciate you being here. Who is best positioned to answer some questions specifically about the request and the work that has been done up to this particular point? Who would that be?
Not me.
I can speak to it. It's best
All
of
right.
my ability.
So I noticed that that in the previous years that you all have received $1 million a year, so that was $2 million over the biennium.
I believe you're looking for Deed. There was a person here that was supposed to represent Deed to kind of explain some of those details.
All right, well, maybe we will get to them. So I will hold off on my questions because therein lie my questions. And Deed would also know how many young people have been served with the prior appropriation? All right,
Yes.
I'll ask them those questions. Thank you so much. Any questions for the testifiers? Senator Pratt, did you have a question?
No, Mr. Chair, I think my questions were along the same line as yours.
All right, thank you so much. Any other questions for the testifiers? If none, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here, and thank you for your testimony.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Thank you. And to the young man that has the nice yellow jacket on, are you sure that you don't want to testify? Because I don't want you to feel like I ran you away.
No, thank you.
All right, thank you so very much. Any closing comments, Senator Mohamed? But we will have Deed come up. Ms. Darielle? Dennett, you want to answer these questions about Youthbuild? Or who is the best person? All right, thank you so much. She's phoning a friend. No, thank you so very much.
I am.
We do appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. And here are my couple questions, and then you can identify yourself for the record and who you're with. I recognize that in the past, for Youthbuild, we have allocated $1 million a year, which is $2 million over the biennium, but there seems to be an increased ask for $2.5 million each year, which is $5 million over the biennium. My first question is, why the increase? And two, tell me what you've done with the $1 million and the $2 million over the biennium.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. For the record, my name is Devin Bowdry, Legislative Liaison at DEED. I'm going to answer your second question first. So in fiscal year 22, we served 457 youth. And with this increase, we'll be able to serve an additional 500 per year. And to your second question, what this would get, or why the increase, it is because we would be able to fund current high-performing grantees at the maximum level, which is $150,000 per year, and then potentially an additional 1 to 3 new projects.
Any additional questions? Senator Pratt did answer your question. Senator Pratt.
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. A quick question around, I know the underlying statute requires a 50% match. Will we, can you tell me how you're administering that 50% match, and will the organizations and the additional 3,000 student, or additional 500 participants would they have the resources to meet that match?
To the testifier.
Mr. Chair, Senator Pratt, might have to get back to you on that question.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, closing comments on this particular bill before Senate File 1693 is laid over. Senator Mohamed.
Thank you for hearing the bill and for considering it. I think their work speaks for itself, and I'm excited that we have an opportunity to continue helping them.
With that, Senate File 1693 is laid over for possible inclusion. Senator Mohamed, I know that you now have Senate File 2473. 2473. And we will ask the two testifiers to come forward. Well, one, because we know that we have two on Zoom. So Fortney, who is the director of Minnesota Association of Workforce Boards. And what we'll do, Senator Mohamed, is let you do your opening statements, and then we have two testifiers on Zoom, and we'll let them go, and then we'll let the director sort of close us out, for lack of a better way of putting it. Senator Mohamed to Senate File 2473.
Thank you, Chair Champion. Research has shown that the #1 predictor of future success in the workforce is early exposure to work experience. The Minnesota Youth Program does just that and gives young people work experience. The work experience component of MYP served 19,975 people in fiscal year 2022. 60 of them were youth of color, 46% of them are youth with disabilities, and 62% of them are from families on public assistance. The applied skills meets the needs of youth who are hands-on applied learners. MYP provides safe and healthy work sites and sets high expectations for growth learning. Don't take my word for it. We have some people who are going to give incredible testimonies. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And with that being said, we're going to go to Zoom. There's Tammy Byrie. I hope I got it correct.
Tammy Beery.
Barry, thank you so much. If you introduce yourself for the record and who you're with, and then provide your 2 minutes of testimony. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Tammy Beery with Career Solutions. We are the workforce service area that receives MYP funding in Stearns and Benton County. We use our MYP funding for a summer youth employment camp for 140 students in St. Cloud and 30 in the outer areas of our service area. This funding helps provide them with math and reading work over the summer so they're not regressing. It has different tracks in it where they can learn about career fields such as healthcare, manufacturing, construction, and we're adding public safety and early childhood education tracks into this program. The students can earn a stipend at the end of it, and we've been running this program for 20 years. They get college credit based on their participation. At minimum, they're getting a job keeping and job seeking skills credit through the St. Cloud Technical and Community College, and if they're in the tracks, they can earn even more college credits as a 14 to 17-year-old. So it's a great program that's expanded over the years. The state funding we get is enough to cover 40 students, and we cover 140 to 170 when you add in the remote sites. This is done through fundraising and other efforts, but that's never a guarantee. So we would really be appreciative of additional MYP funding so that we can continue to build upon the success we have of this program. We'd like to enroll more students. We'd like to keep building additional career tracks to it, career pathways, just enhancing the experience. We've also added on Career 2 for those that we also receive Youthbuild funding. So youth that participate in Career 1 that are in the manufacturing and construction track, they work on habitat houses during Career 2, which follows right after Career 1 in the later summer months. So, it's just one example of what's happening across the state, but great work is being done with that funding. And we're all ready to expand upon it because, the funding is not increased in many years, but yet our costs for our programming has.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your testimony. And as I encourage the others, I wasn't sure if you had an opportunity to hear me earlier. If you have some additional things you want the committee to know, please feel free to put it in writing, and we will supply that to the committee, okay? Thank you so much. And you can hold, because we may ask a couple questions, but we'll go to the second testifier, and then we'll open it up for the committee. Mike Archer, who's with the Step Up program. He's an alumni. Are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much, Chairman, and thank you to the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I appreciate all of the testimonials that I've heard thus far, because a lot of this stuff I didn't know about, all this great work that people are putting in and these great people. So I appreciate all y'all. I currently work at General Mills as an electrician at the Research and Development Facility in Golden Valley. And a couple years prior to this, I was a Step Up youth. And I worked for 2 nonprofits and 1 government entity during my 3 years with the program. This was a crucial step during my development as a career-focused individual. Step Up provided me with a safe working environment where I was able to learn all the tricks to socializing, networking in the professional workplace. I learned what unique parts of myself I could bring to the table and where certain behaviors that weren't allowed at a very early age. So by the time I was able to get my own job and start my own career, I was way far ahead of all of the less acclimated youth who did not take advantage of the program or were unable to, as far as being professional in the workplace. And I was able to kind of jump up the ranks that way. So I really appreciate the program and what it did for me. So thanks again, guys.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Any questions for the 2 testifiers? Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This would be for, I believe, Ms. Berry. I noticed, and perhaps I didn't hear clearly, did you say that, well, here's my question. I thought I heard that some of the students were able to get credit for some of the tracks or courses that they were taking. And what I want to know is if it's high school credit, is some high school funding following those students? And if it's college credit, also, that would be PSEO funding following those students. We'd like to see you be able to access all those funding sources if we are talking about credit for high school kids, whether it's high school credit or high school kids who are taking college courses.
Ms. Berry, to the question.
Yes, thank you. They do in one of the school districts has certified the program as an opportunity for credit recovery. There's no funding that we receive from the school district to support them in that, but at least we're able to help some of those students with credit recovery issues when they participate in our program. We also have college credit, and we receive a small contribution from Carl Perkins funds. But other than that, we fundraise to pay for those college credits.
Mr. Chair.
Any follow-up? Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, well, we should follow up later. Those students who are getting college credit as when they're in high schoolers, they should be able to access some additional funding. I would want to see if the PSEO funding were available to them, so we should follow up on that. And you'll know how to get hold of me. Through the chair.
Any additional questions for the testifiers?
Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you. We're going to go to Gianna Fortney, who's the director of the Minnesota Association of Workforce Boards. Welcome to the committee, and please provide your 2 minutes of testimony.
Thank you, Chair and members. My name is Gina Fortney. As you said, I'm the director of the Minnesota Association of Workforce Boards. Our membership includes the 16 local workforce development boards across the state responsible for the strategic investment of employment and training funding in their communities. I'm here today in support of Senator Mohamed's bill to expand the Minnesota Youth Program. MYP is the only youth workforce program that serves youth in all 87 counties. The program funds are allocated through a county formula based on need to ensure equitable distribution across the state. The program provides summer and year-round employment and training services to low-income and at-risk youth. This includes paid work experiences, job opportunities in the public and private sector, mentoring, support services, industry-recognized credentials, academic credit, and career counseling, and exploration in high schools. This is particularly important in rural Minnesota, where less resources are available for this in high school. The program makes an enormous impact on the state. Each state dollar invested in MYP yields a return on investment of over $9. The added funding in this bill would allow us to serve an estimated 40,000 additional youth each year. Thousands of youth are unserved each year because of the limited capacity currently. Added funding will also increase employer engagement. Given the current worker shortage, employers are really eager to partner with us and to host youth work experiences. The program is a critical tool for exposing youth to in-demand careers and provide meaningful experiences. We also support the age of eligibility change in the bill from 16 to 21 to 16 to 24. This age of eligibility mirrors other youth workforce programs, including the federal youth program, and it will allow us to better leverage co-enrollment. Thank you, committee. Thank you, Senator Mohamed, for authoring this bill, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. You did answer one of my questions, which was why the age change. Have you been seeing a number of young people around the age of 24 that needs to participate in this program, not just because it lines up with the other federal programs? We do things based on need. Ms. Fortney.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we are seeing many in that age range that we already enroll in our other programs, and we use MYP to often leverage those other programs, so we could co-enroll them in multiple programs.
And if you can answer one question for me, I see some language that is pretty interesting that I need some clarification around so that the committee has a better understanding of it. If you look on lines 2.9 through 2.13, and specifically at lines 2.11 and 2.12, it says these appropriations are available either year of the biennium and are added to the base for this purpose. Now, it looks like you are asking for a $10 million appropriation in fiscal year 2024, which seems to be much more than what you asked for in the past. And then it also has some language where it's a little over $4 million in fiscal year 2024 as well. So it looks like you are asking for what your base appropriation is, and then you're asking for $10 million over the base. So that's one question, and then so if that's correct, and if there's no typo, and then secondly, that's a part of that same inquiry, are you asking for that change in, be put in the base going forward?
Mr. Chair, yes, the way it's written now is a one-time increase. We would love a change in the base if that's possible. There's just a huge need across the state for this program.
And then, hey, if I had it to give it, I would give it, but I don't have it to give at this point. We shall see. And so if that is true, it then appears that you are asking for this increase for 1 year, and then there's going to be this 1 year, a possible 1 year increase in the base. Then what are the kids going to do going forward? Ms. Fortney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the 10 million would be for the biennium, so it could be split over the 2 years, so 5 and 5.
Senator Pratt.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I had the same question on lines 212 and 213. I'm wondering if our nonpartisan can clarify it, because Mr. Chair, as I read the appropriation, it would look like we were putting $10 million into the base general fund appropriation and $4 million into the base workforce development for an ongoing base appropriation of $14 million per biennium, not a one-time, as I think was just described. I'm wondering if I could get clarification from nonpartisan on that.
Ms. Nolan.
Mr. Chair and members, I believe the language could be clarified to have one-time language indicating that the 10 million in fiscal year 2024 from the general fund is one time. I think that would help clarify this language, because I think how both Mr. Chair and Senator Pratt, how you're interpreting it is how I'm reading it as well, that it would be adding to the base. So if the intention of the author is to have a one-time funding, I think I'd recommend to have some language inserted in there.
Senator Pratt, follow up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm wondering, again, can I get a little more clarification on the $10 million increase? Because this was funded in the last bill at the slightly over $4 million amount. Mm-hmm. Help me understand why we need this one-time, presuming it's one-time increase of basically 2.5 times of what had been appropriated in the past.
Ms. Forney.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Chair, Senator Pratt, thanks for the question. This program has been level funded for a number of years. Ms. Berry mentioned that we're just being able to do less with the current money, and that the need we're seeing is just huge. For example, Southeast Minnesota, the area, they have about 42 school districts. They partner with only 10 based on their funding. They plan to expand to like 25 if they got this additional funding. Work experiences, only a portion of the young people we work with are able to access those paid work experiences. With additional funding, many more could access the paid work experiences. So the capacity we have is just very large from what we're seeing, and so the added money would be put to very good use.
Follow up, Senator Pratt.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I have no doubt that it would be. I'm just kind of the use of the additional 10 million seems to be an ongoing obligation for one-time money, and I'm having a hard time kind of reconciling that. Typically, one-time money would be appropriated for a specific purpose. Can you tell me how many additional students you'd be able to serve with the additional funding?
Ms. Fortney?
It would be around, if it was an added 14,000, the 10 and the 4, it would be around 40,000 youth.
Senator Pratt?
So that's if, thank you, Mr. Chair, sorry, I forgot to go through you. So at 14 million to be able to serve 40,000, and how many are you serving today?
Mr. Chair,
Ms.
Senator
Fortney?
Pratt. Mr. Chair, Senator Pratt. In fiscal year '22, we served around 20,000.
Senator Pratt, follow up?
Nope.
Well, we would certainly take a look at this and make a decision, and should it be included in any shape, form, or fashion in our omnibus bill, then we will look at modifying the language or not providing any resources at all. We'll certainly take that under consideration. Senator Mohamed, any closing comments before we lay Senate File 2473 over for possible inclusion?
No, thank you for your consideration, Chair.
Thank you, Senator Mohamed. And with that, Senate File 2473 will be laid over for possible inclusion. We will now go to Senate File 2453. Senator Mohamed, you are there, and you will have a couple of testifiers that have come forward, and I see them coming forward from Deed. Thank you so much. Senator Mohamed, you want to give opening comments to Senate File 2453, and then we'll go to Mr. McKinnon, who's the commissioner. And is that acting commissioner or interim acting, or are you the commissioner now?
Mr. Chair, I believe the correct term is temporary commissioner.
Okay, got it.
Is on some documents, but yes, I'm.
Well, thank you, Mr. McKinney. Just on my notes, I just see commissioner, and I was like, oh, maybe something happened that I don't know anything about. So thank you so much. Welcome to the committee, but we'll go to Senator Mohamed, who will give us opening statements on Senate File 2453.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate File 2453 is a deed agency bill which seeks to get rid of unnecessary report requirements that take up taxpayer money and time. With me is Commissioner or Acting Commissioner McKinnon.
Yep, temporary. That's
So,
fine.
temporary.
Thank you.
All right.
So he'll walk through the bill if you have any issues, but thank you.
Thank you so much. And welcome, Mr. McKinnon, to the committee. We're always happy to have you and Daryl Dannon here with us. So if you would walk through Senate File 2453, or what the rationale for some of the provisions that you have there. Mr. McKinnon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Kevin McKinnon, temporary commissioner of Deed. And happy to be here to talk about our policy bill here today. I'm going to start with the Minnesota Job Skills Pathway change as the first one here. Our basically statutes are inconsistent between the definition of private and participating businesses. The goal here is for us to ensure that tribes are eligible. Through this, we have consulted with the Attorney General on the definition of private businesses and participating businesses, and making this change will allow our tribal nations to be partners in the Pathways program. The Pathways program obviously serves people with 200% or below of the poverty level, an important program within our Minnesota Job Skills Partnership program. The second piece that I would like to talk about is the Contamination Cleanup Grant program. This is a longstanding program at Deed where we work with local units of government to remediate soils and prepare land for development. The grants that we provide go to local units of government. This money does not go directly to developers or other businesses, et cetera, or our tribal nations. The change that we are seeking would include tribal nations as eligible applicants for this program. Currently, today, they could work with a local unit of government through a partnership to access these grant funds. This would enable them to be the recipient and then pass that along to the developers who are doing projects on their lands. The third piece that I'd like to talk about today is the Displaced Homemaker Program. Under the definition of Displaced Homemaker for the Minnesota Family Resiliency Program, the word now is connected to divorce, death, or disability. A better fit probably connects now to the current need to enter the workforce. So there are many factors that have led to a delay between a divorce, death, or disability and when someone needs to re-enter the workforce. For example, surviving family members living on Social Security or spousal maintenance. The intent of the statute is to help people re-enter the workforce. This has been an increasing issue during the pandemic and the pandemic recovery as individuals seek to re-enter the workforce. And this change will ensure that those individuals can access the appropriate services. The final piece of this bill is our mandated reports and potentially sunsetting some of these. Across our enterprise, we do a large and growing list of reports every year. 36 are legislatively mandated. Some are required annually, some are biennial, and some are actually due every 4 years. But nonetheless, we have been doing this for a number of years based on programs that were created in the 90s, many that were created in the early 2000s. And our interest here is to follow some of the other agencies that are enacting a mechanism by which those reports may expire if they are no longer required or useful by you as legislators. So the way that this would be set up is that we would submit our annual list of reports to all of you and do under this, and we would have expiring sections of reports. And you would approve whether those should retire or be retired, or if you want some of those to continue, certainly we can work with you on that. But we do a number of reports and have and will continue to do so on all of the programs that we receive. But this would ultimately and could ultimately exempt some of those programs from reporting. However, I would just maintain that if there are these reports that you see every year that you want us to continue to report on, we are more than happy to continue to do that. So,
thank you, Mr. McKinnon.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. McKinnon? Ms. Dannon, would you like to say anything? Or you just be there just in case there's some additional questions. Any questions of the department? Senator Pratt.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Temporary Commissioner. Appreciate your testimony today. When I'm looking at the reports, I know that in the past we've talked about the problem of getting data from some of the participants, and whether or not, if they're not meeting the reporting needs, whether they should continue to receive grants. I don't see any reform in your proposal. Is that something you've considered? I think it was the Senator Draheim bill last year to add that requirement into the reporting pieces of the statute. And if you haven't considered it, I would encourage you to, but I would like to know if you've considered Senator Draheim's bill from last year and your thoughts on that.
Mr. McKinnon, Acting Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, Senator Pratt and members, you're correct. We, in all of the grants that we do, obviously continue to work with our grantees on collecting information, and certainly information that's required for us to be able to produce reports. We have a number of things that we do with our grantees. particularly in some cases be holding back final payments, those types of things, until reporting and information is set to us. We administratively are able to do that. And that's how we, in my experience, have dealt with that in order to get the data that we need in order to produce it. As far as the bill from last year, Senator Pratt, I am unfortunately not familiar with that, and maybe if I could phone a friend, maybe Ms. Dannon is.
Ms. Dannon, welcome to the committee. State your name for the record and who you with.
Thank you, Senator. Darielle Dannon, I'm the Government Relations Director at DEED. Thank you for the question. Happy to jump in, Temporary Commissioner. So the Drahan provision, I know our agency had looked at it. We certainly weren't anticipating, while that provision in state law would call out our ability to require organizations to submit data to us. As my colleague, Temporary Commissioner McKinnon stated, we do have that power already administratively, and so that is something that we do. So we didn't anticipate any change from that language on our practices, but of course, it did seem to provide some comfort to the legislature, and certainly didn't have any concerns about the language.
Nothing further. Any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you so much to the testifiers. Senator Mohamed, if you would like to give any closing comments on Senate File 2453 before we lay it over for possible inclusion.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing the bill, and I appreciate you for taking the time to hear all my bills today, Chair.
Thank you so very much. And Senate File 2453 will be laid over for possible inclusion. Now we will go to Senate File 30. Senator McEwen, welcome to the committee. And as Senator McEwen comes forward, we also ask Patrick Shea to come forward, and Stephen Witherspoon.
Stefan, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the committee, Senator McEwen. Welcome. If you'd be so kind as to give us some opening statements before we go to your testifiers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair Champion, and members of the committee, I am very pleased and excited to present Senate File 30, a bill to protect Minnesotans from exposure to lead in their drinking water through lead service lines. Members, this is fundamentally a bill to protect Minnesotans from exposure to lead. If there is one takeaway I want all of us to walk away with today, it is that no amount of exposure to lead is safe. Lead service lines are one of the largest lead sources in Minnesotans' drinking water. Often, lead service lines are both publicly and privately owned, but both parts of the line must be replaced simultaneously to avoid increasing lead concentration in drinking water. Lead exposure through drinking water is a statewide issue. Lead service lines are present across Minnesota in all communities, urban, suburban, and rural. Lead exposure through service lines is most common in lower income communities and affects them disproportionately. Many cities and townships do not have a comprehensive map of their lead lines. This bill is critical, not only for the health and safety of our constituents and their drinking water, but it is critical that we pass this bill now as well to maximize federal funding provided by the bipartisan infrastructure law Congress passed in 2021, and to provide the assistance that Minnesota communities will need to be in compliance with the federal law. So a little bit about how Senate File 30 works. It establishes eligible recipients and eligible uses of grants to replace our lead service lines. Eligible recipients of grant funds will include community public service or public water suppliers of a community water system, municipalities, suppliers of other residential drinking water systems, and any applicant eligible for loans and grants under the Federal Safe Drinking Water Act. Eligible uses of grant funding will include removing and replacing lead water lines, construction related to replacement and removal, providing information to residents on the benefits of removing lead lines, and repaying debt incurred for the above uses. Grant money can be used to pay for 100% of the costs of replacing privately owned lines and only 50% of those lines that are publicly owned. Additionally, the bill promotes planning by grant recipients. In particular, it states that the Public Facilities Authority must give priority to cities, local water systems, and other applicants that use grant proceeds as part of a plan to remove all lead lines in their jurisdiction. Senate File 30 states that a plan should include how the recipient will maximize the number of participating property owners with portions of lead water lines that are privately owned, including low-income and disadvantaged communities, how the recipient will maximize the efficient use of funds by coordinating the replacement of privately owned and publicly owned portions of the lead lines, how the recipient will minimize the partial replacement of lead lines, and how equity for disadvantaged groups is prioritized in their plan. Further, the bill requires that grant applicants that have at least 50,000 water connections must submit a workforce plan as part of their application that describes how the applicant will maximize the use of registered apprentices and workers from communities that are underrepresented in the construction industry. Like most construction and building projects funded with state or federal dollars, the bill requires that the laborers and mechanics who work to remove and replace lead water lines must be paid the appropriate prevailing wage. Additionally, like other bills that create a new program, Senate File 30 requires a report each year from the PFA to the legislature on the operation of the grant program. Additionally, Senate File 60 creates a separate, smaller program at the Minnesota Department of Health to provide mapping grants to municipalities. The purpose of these grants is to help cities produce an inventory of public and private-owned lead lines in their jurisdiction. The bill spells out eligible uses for the grants, including serving households on their water pipes, and appropriates $10 million from the general fund each year, starting in fiscal year 24-25. With that, Mr. Chair, I'd like to go ahead and proceed with the testimony and discussion, and we also have an author's amendment, the A8 amendment, when the chair is ready for that.
Thank you, Senator McEwen. Would you like for us to go to the testifiers before the A8 amendment, Senator?
Perhaps, Mr. Chair, it would be best to adopt the author's amendment at this time, just so the bill is in the place that we'd like it to be in.
And Senator McEwen, is this your first stop for this bill?
It is, Mr. Chair.
Okay, got it. So let's see. Senator Herr will offer the A8 amendment. Has everyone received it? It's in your packet. Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was wondering if council could just walk through the key changes.
Ms. Fontaine.
Mr. Chair and Senator Pratt, I do think that Senator McEwen, I think she spoke to some of the changes that were she spoke to the bill as it would be engrossed, but I mean, I could go through the A8 amendment if you want, but she did address, you know, some of the changes that would be part of the bill now.
Senator Pratt?
I'll hold up for that, Mr. Chair.
All right. Any questions to Senator Herr's motion for adoption of the A8 amendment? Seeing no questions, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The A8 amendment is adopted. Senator Housley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator McEwen, so what you gave us was the summary of what the amendment was, right? Can you just maybe refresh for some of us what you actually changed?
Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Housley. The changes that are reflected, and it is correct, what the summary that I gave of the bill does reflect what the bill looks like now as amended. But there were some changes to align the bill with the House language, so to ensure that grant funds provided by the bill support the full cost of replacing privately owned portions of the lines. I know that for the working group on this, that has been somewhat of a tricky piece to get the language right, and so there were some tweaks made about how will the bill make sure that those privately owned lines are fully funded, and so the changes do reflect that. Let's see here, and perhaps I do have my experts who are here may also be able to speak to a couple of the changes that we've made. But one of the things that the author's amendment also did is restructure the appropriation to provide all of the funds to the PFA, who would be allowed to share funds with the Minnesota Department of Health through an interagency agreement to enable the mapping and inventory work. So again, there's my sort of elevator speech about those changes would be that they were sort of technical changes just to make the bill more workable, because this is such a large undertaking. As we know, it's a big project the vision of what this bill will accomplish is replacing all the lead service lines in the entire state. And because of that ownership difference, because of the mapping requirements, it's just a little bit tricky with the federal funds coming in then to make sure that we actually have everything in place correctly worded in statute to make sure that those privately owned lines can be replaced and that the mapping will happen and that the federal funds will come in the right way. So it's sort of a technical change, but important.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator McEwen, I did have one question that maybe it's technical, but it doesn't look technical to me, and that has to do with the changing the workforce plan requirement for submitting an application. It was originally applicants who serve 75,000 customers or more must submit the plan, but your amendment really drastically changes that to 15,000 service connections. And I'm just wondering if you can provide a little bit of insight into why and what the effect of that is. Changing from 75,000 to 15,000 is a rather large change.
Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator, for the question. So the language was changed from 75,000 customers to 50,000 service, or
15.
to 15,000 service connections. And the effect of that change, my understanding of that is that the intent is to include some of the more mid-size municipalities. So that brings in then St. Cloud, Duluth, some of the other municipalities that with the previous language wouldn't have been included. And if we can speak more to that as well.
And then just
Senator Nelson, we're going to let you do one more follow-up, and then I'd like to get the testifiers in, and then we can have some additional questions as long as you like. I just want to make sure that we get those
I can
testifiers
wait.
in.
My comments can wait till after the testifiers.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. We will now go to, I'm seeing on here, Peter Shea.
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry, Patrick. If you introduce yourself for the record and then go forward, and then I see that we have John Thornton. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the committee.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate the opportunity to provide comment and support for Senate File 30. My name is Patrick Shea. I'm the General Manager, St. Paul Regional Water Services. We are a regional water utility providing drinking water to over 450,000 residents and are governed by the St. Paul Board of Water Commissioners. Our water system consists of nearly 100,000 service lines. 26,000 of these contain lead. These assets are not entirely owned by the utility, yet the result of ignoring this issue comes at a great public cost. Providing safe and reliable drinking water is not just a goal, it is our mission, and lead in drinking water is a serious health concern. In March of 2022, the St. Paul Board of Water Commissioners directed me to develop a 10-year lead service line replacement project. We have termed this project Lead-Free SPRWS. With help from American Rescue Plan dollars allocated by the City of St. Paul and a grant from the Minnesota Department of Health, we have been able to successfully develop the Lead-Free SPRWS program over this past year. We have worked out numerous roadblocks, including administrative requirements, wages, procurement, paperwork requirements that the ARP comes with it, the American Rescue Plan. We're currently able to relatively simply comply with federal procurement practices. And we've implemented several different methods to replace the service lines. This is all work that we as a utility haven't done in the past. What we are lacking right now for this 10-year project to be successful is adequate funding. Without additional state and federal dollars, we will fall well short of removing all lead service lines. As Senator McEwen indicated, we don't own and have really no fiscal or property rights to the private side of these assets. So roughly said, we can't charge our user base as part of their water bills the cost it would take to replace the private side. As part of this work, we do anticipate hiring over 30 people this year. 29 are actually scheduled to start on March 27th. Later this afternoon at 3:30 at St. Paul Regional Water Services Administrative Building, we're hosting a job fair, which is a zero barrier jobs program, hoping to hire.
Thank you, Mr. Shea. I know that you have some additional testimony. I would always encourage you to give us that additional information because I do have a couple questions. It's my understanding that St. Paul has already done some mapping already. Is that right?
That's correct.
I'm sorry.
Correct.
And how many lead service lines did you identify in the city of St. Paul?
26,000 approximately.
And what do you project the cost to be for each of those service lines? I know in the report that they were projecting it at 8,000 to 10,000. Would you say that's a fair and accurate number?
Mr. Chair, yes.
And last but certainly not least, it's also my understanding that the report suggested that there should be a collaboration between municipals and others in order to understand over a longer period of time, but this bill is requesting it for a shorter period of time. Do you believe that it can be done? Well, how much time do you think it can be done in St. Paul?
Our program is laid out as a 10-year program starting in 2023.
All right. So we'll go to Mr. Thornton. Mr. Thornton, I'll have some questions for you afterwards, but please feel free to give us your 2 minutes of testimony, and welcome to the committee.
Great. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, my name is John Thorson. I'm the Legislative Director for LiUNA, Minnesota, and North Dakota. We're Minnesota's infrastructure union, representing more than 13,000 skilled construction laborers who build and maintain our roads, highways, bridges, and the basic utilities that allow our communities to thrive. We're proud to stand with the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, St. Paul Regional Water Services, Conservation Minnesota, and the Operating Engineers Local 49 in seeking a transformational investment in our state's future that'll put us on a path for removing what the Minnesota Department of Health estimates to be over 100,000 lead service lines in communities throughout our entire state. We strongly support the provisions of Senate File 30 that call for eliminating all lead service lines in our state by 2033 and provide the funding to ensure that cities can map, identify, replace the lead lines both in the public right-of-way and the 70% of service lines on private property. LiUNA members are skilled in service line replacement and have worked with cities all throughout the nation to accelerate the identification and removal of these dangerous lead pipes in our communities. It is estimated that removal and replacement of lead service pipes will create and maintain around 2,400 jobs annually in Minnesota for the next 10 years. We're very excited about the career and economic inclusion opportunities this will bring to Minnesota's construction industry through registered apprenticeship programs that support and increase participation of women, people of color, veterans, youth, and others not participating in the economy to their fullest potential. Socioeconomic impacts of a job that pays middle-class wages, provides comprehensive health care, retirement benefits, and offers the opportunities and career advancement as these jobs can exceed those created by a relatively low-wage, no-benefit job by a factor of 5 or more. Mr. Chair, I want to thank Senator McEwen for bringing this proposal forward, encourage members of the committee to support Senate File 30 and these critical state investments which ensure that lead pipes are replaced and clean drinking water is delivered to family and children all throughout the state. This is an investment that will increase the health, social, and economic vitality of our entire state. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator, Mr. Thornton, you're familiar with the research project, is that right? That led to the recommendation of us removing these lead service lines, is that right?
Yes, my understanding is the Minnesota Department of Health conducted a study in 2019.
And would you agree that the report suggested that the demographic that is the most endangered would be children 6 and under, is that right?
Yes, that's absolutely true.
So can you tell me what you believe that's in the bill that would help that? Because of course, if we move them all, that'd be great. But would you agree that there needs to be some prioritization of those maybe daycares or other entities where there are children 6 and under, or do you think this approach is the best approach?
Well, I think, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Maureen wants it.
That wasn't my phone, I want you to know. Okay, Mr. Thornton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The report states that children 0 to 6 are at the most risk of lead exposure. And lead in the water lines is one piece of that risk, in addition to other, lead in paint and other materials. The report states that 50% of their exposure to lead can be removed through the removal of these lead pipelines between the city water main and a residence. And that 50% of their exposure can be removed for 10% of the cost of the entire lead removal project by removing the lead service lines. As far as prioritization, yes, as Senator McEwen stated in the application, cities must speak to how they're going to be prioritizing the removal of lead service lines in their communities, and must speak to these kind of prioritizations in their grant application.
So those are some of the questions that came up earlier today. Any additional questions for either the two testifiers before we go to the other testifier? If not, we do have the other person on Zoom, so you all can hold there just in case there are other questions. Stephen Witherspoon, are you with us? Okay, so Stephen Witherspoon is not with us. I'm going to Sheila Lay.
But close.
All right, so welcome. And if you'd be so kind as to state your name for the record, who you with, and give us your 2 minutes of testimony. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you. My name is Sheila Lull. I'm with Blue Conduit. And thank you, Chairman Champion and the rest of the Minnesota Senate Committee on Jobs and Economic Development for inviting me to testify today. My name is Sheila Lull, the Director of State Initiatives at Blue Conduit. I'm testifying on behalf of Blue Conduit, a data science startup based in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and testifying in favor of Senate File 30. As a startup, it may seem odd for us to care about state legislation, but Senator McEwen's bill gives Minnesota the opportunity to meaningfully implement a lead service line inventory, funding, and replacement strategy that goes beyond the EPA lead and copper rule revisions requirements and current BIL funding. The bill and its amendments recognize the importance of having a close to true count of lead service lines as possible and even begin the appropriations process. Blue Conduit recognizes how big of a task this is and applauds the bill sponsor and the committee for taking it on through legislation. Blue Conduit knows the impact of lead service lines intimately. The company's core competency, using machine learning and data science to locate lead service lines, was developed during the Flint water crisis. Our founders, who were then professors at the University of Michigan, worked with General Michael McDaniel, who spearheaded the removal effort and recommended that crews inspect 300 homes in a representative sample using a hydrovac. And using this verified randomly sampled data, estimated that 37% of active water accounts in Flint would have lead lines. This was in 2017. With this number, General McDaniel who managed the replacement program, went to the EPA and asked for a specific amount of federal aid to replace the pipes. 6 years and more than 25,000 pipes later, the actual percentage of active water accounts with lead service lines was about 39%. So we're only off by about 2%. Since then, we've used data science to effectively locate lead service lines in 100 different water systems throughout North America. And we see daily how the lack of funding impacts the number of replacements and, by extension, the number of people who have to live with a lead service line. We urge you to pass this bill out of committee and start getting the lead out. And with that, I yield my time.
Thank you so much. So we could tell that she has a federal exposure because she says she yields her time. I don't know if we yield our time in the state, but we'll take it. Let me just say thank you for your testimony. Any questions for the testifiers? Senator Draham.
I don't know. Sorry, Chair. I do have that amendment too that I would like to offer. And I don't know
which amendment?
I have an A8 amendment, or A9 amendment, excuse me.
All right. Senator Draham offers the A9 amendment. You should have that in your packet, it looks like. And Senator McEwen, do you have it okay? Do you have it already?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chair. Thank
Okay.
you.
We just want to make sure that you had a
Yep,
chance to
very
look
good.
at it. Senator Draham to the A9 amendment.
Thank you, Chair and members, and thank you, Senator McEwen, for bringing this forward. I know there's a need out there. The price tag scares me, but if we're going to do it, let's do it right. And this has to do with reporting, and if there's a change in the report, why the change? So we have more information, because this is going to be a multi-year project with tens of millions, if hundreds of millions of dollars. So I hope the author accepts it as a friendly amendment, members, and I stand for questions.
Senator McEwen to the A9 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much, Senator Draham, for this thoughtful amendment. I am right there with you. This is a huge price tag, and it is a very large project, but it must be done. And I very much appreciate that we want as much transparency around when we're doing a big task like this, that is the task of government, to make sure that the public health and clean drinking water are provided to all of the people of our state. We need to make sure that there's good transparency, good information that the public has and all of our agencies have around a project like this. So I will accept this as a friendly amendment. Thank you for bringing it.
Thank you so much. The A9 amendment, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The A9 amendment has been adopted. Senator Draham.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. And I just kind of want to build on the comments that you talked about prioritizing that most at-risk segment of the population. And I was wondering if the author could point out where in the amended bill it talks about prioritizing. I see 2.14, some language in the designing of the plan, but I don't see where it talks about the kids. I think the chair's comments about that 0-6 segment, to me, it'd be daycares and schools, and I think Chair Champion expressed that earlier, and he's right on. So as this moves forward, and I don't know where it's going after this, I think it would be imperative that we put that, if we're going to do it, that should be in every city's plan, top, would be schools and daycares, in my opinion, if that's what we're trying to accomplish. And I don't know, is there a spot in the bill where it spells that out, or is that something we could clarify as the bill moves forward?
Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the question, Senator Draham. You're correct that line 2.14 is where, we have a requirement to, for applicants who are putting their plans together to provide a description around equity for disadvantaged groups, but we do not at this time have language specific to children, and you're absolutely correct that urgent need around doing this project in particular is especially because children are really affected by lead, and that is very urgent. So Senator Draheim, I am absolutely open to looking at some language changes to include those priorities and to require that focus. And I believe that after this, the plan is for the bill to go to Health and Human Services, and between now and then, perhaps we can look at some language.
Senator Draheim.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator McEwen and Chair Champion. And then the other comment I had, or question, I guess, some of us rural members have wells. And I have a shared well with 4 other homes. And I've had businesses where I've had a private well, but it was a public water source. So I've had to do the fund reporting and tests with that, which I was happy to do. But how would I and my 4 neighbors take advantage of this $800 million proposal to ensure that we had safe drinking water? I mean, would we be able to participate if we are not a municipality or some other government entity?
Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Draheim. I do know that the Minnesota Well Owners Association is in favor of this bill, but as to your technical question about how this would apply, I would perhaps ask some of my experts to be able to address that question specifically. And we also have someone here from the PFA who may be able to speak to that.
Senator McEwen, any one of your experts? Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Identify
members of
yourself
the
for the
committee,
record.
thank you. If it is not deemed community water supply or non-transient community water supply, it probably does not fit in this program. But schools kind of fit into a different kind of bucket that the Minnesota Department of Health looks after, well and well owners also as well. So it depending upon the type of system, how it's operated, how it's monitored, would really affect where that is. The good news is, wells and well maintenance usually involves some service line work, kind of as it's being dug and installed. My understanding is it's relatively uncommon for a well that's relatively new in comparison to a 150-year-old water system to have a lead service line.
Any final questions? Senator Draheim.
Thank you. So my assumption's correct then, just to paraphrase, that if we're not on a public water supply, we're not included in this $800 million bill.
Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would defer to my expert.
That is my understanding, but certainly can reach out to the Minnesota Department of Health and have them clarify.
So,
Senator Draheim.
Chair, there is a large portion of rural Minnesota that have homes that were built starting in the 1890s through the 30s that would probably meet the criteria that we're trying to solve. So I'm not worried about the schools in the rural areas as much because they do have ongoing water testing that is required. But that is one hole in the bill. In the comment made, all lead service lines would be covered is not true if you live in the rural communities where you are not part of a public water supply system. So just for the record, thank you.
Senator Nelson.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple comments and then a basic question. So this is such a needed bill particularly, so I appreciate you bringing this. I was a little concerned as well about the cost of such. I took a little bit of comfort seeing that the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities is supporting this because many of our municipalities are already struggling with paying for many of the mandates that we put on them regarding water. So I take some comfort in that, but I do have a question on before I get to the question, number one, I do believe, I hope that you write into the bill schools. Schools are that's where those young minds are, and what we have found is far too many of our oldest schools, which have the oldest lines with the greatest lead exposure, are in those communities where significant numbers of children perhaps also live in homes that have that same lead exposure. And it's just if you're talking about equity, that is an issue for equity in education, making sure that those young minds are not contaminated with lead. So I hope you do force that issue regarding schools. But my question is on the private lines. So there's the lines that the municipalities own, and then there's the private line that comes into your kitchen tap or whatever. And that's a private cost, I believe. But do I understand here that there are grants to cover 100% of the private cost of paying for pulling out the lead pipes from where it's the homeowner's responsibility?
Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator. That's correct.
Senator Nelson, briefly.
No, I think that answers my question, except to Senator Draheim. Senator Draheim, the lead pipes from the well to the home should be covered. The question is, are there lead pipes in the well? I guess I don't understand then why the wells aren't covered.
All right, we want to wrap this up because we do have some other bills, but I want to give the author as much time as they need to answer the question. Do we have someone to answer the question about the wells?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. We have someone from the Minnesota Department of Health, and I just wanted to see if we could hear just a little bit more about the well issue. And again, I very much appreciate the schools. I have that in my notes. I'll make sure that we talk about that before we go to the next committee about some language around that. But in regard to the wells, just for the record, I wanted to see if MDH had some thing to add.
And you identify yourself for the record and who you're with and answer the question. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Sandeep Burman. I'm the manager of the Drinking Water Program at the Department of Health.
So did you hear the question, sir?
If I could be repeated, that would be appreciated.
Senator Draheim, your wells question.
Thank you for coming up and trying to help us understand this important bill. My question had to do with the private homeowners, or like my situation where I'm one of 5 homes on a single well, not part of a municipality or a public water source, and I would not be included in this bill as drafted, is my understanding.
To the testifier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Draheim. So technically, you are correct. All of these efforts nationally to remove lead service lines is an artifact of federal regulation stemming from the Federal Safe Drinking Water Act, which is a federal law that applies to public water supplies. So private wells are not covered by the Federal Safe Drinking Water Act. Hence, all of the federal funding, all of the national initiatives really are to go after community public water supplies, which service not only people that live in those areas, but people that also on private wells, certain percentage of their water consumption also comes from public water supplies in places they work, places they may be visiting. So the Safe Drinking Water Act really is aimed at public water supplies. Private wells are not covered by the Federal Safe Drinking Water Act. Minnesota has a state well code that does look at private well construction and operation. I am not fully familiar with that. That is not my area, but we can certainly get back to you on whether the Minnesota State Well Code, what provisions are in State Well Code about the use of lead lines or lead fixtures associated with private wells. We can certainly clarify that for you.
And if you'd be so kind as to get back to him, or even the committee with that information, that'd be great. And I'm certain that Senator McEwen will think about those things as we're going forward around the children, but also if there's any additional provisions around education that can be given, because even while families are waiting for any work to be done, lead is still in the lines, right? And even when we think in terms of this bill, if 100% of it is done the way that Senator McEwen is thinking, still 50% is not done because of the fixtures. So there's some additional work that should be considered and done. And I know you can't do everything, but these are just things for you to think about. Any closing comments? Senator Nelson,
So-
before we got to go.
Yes, just a quick question.
I'm going to hold you later. I'm going to tell you that because you came in late, but I'm going to hold you later.
Yes, I understand the
Senator
detention.
Nelson, I'm messing with my good friend.
So just a brief question, though, and it's a serious question, because it is a big price tag. I just want to know, so the public funds used to pay for 100% of those private line replacements, very important. But does that also include, the $1 million mansions up on Summit Avenue, for example? So I'm just, as we're looking at funding, I think that's a reasonable question to that.
That's a pretty good question, Senator Nelson. Thank you so much. Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to defer to my expert here.
Mr. Chair, Senator Nelson, it does apply equally to every parcel, every property, every lead service line. The kind of the beauty of this is generally those lines have already been replaced. If a street project went through and the water and sewer and the sidewalk and all that was maintained and replaced, at that time, that property owner probably replaced their lead service line at that point. So it really hits on people that at the time work was being done in that area. Again, back to the 40s, most likely the road has been replaced. They've been replaced if they had the means. The people that didn't have the means left the lead service line in place, and hence now we're coming back to get them through this program.
To the testifier, you have to agree that there is something in the research that says that you would hope that those plans would meet up and intersect with each other between municipalities and the replacement of lines. But that is if you do a longer period of time and not necessarily like the report was saying something like 20 years as opposed to what we're trying to do, because we think it's important to get these lines out. But I want us to be fair that the municipal work may not align with the work that is being done here. Isn't that true?
That's correct, Mr. Chair. So about half of our work in St. Paul will be existing projects that are going on. The other half will be a prioritized process that is kind of laid out in the intent of this committee.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your work. Any closing comments before Senator Mohamed will move that this bill should pass and be re-referred to Health and Human Services, is my understanding. Is that right?
That is my understanding as well. Yes.
Any closing comments, Senator McEwen?
Just thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members, for hearing this bill and prioritizing this work that we have ahead. And I've been taking notes on the comments and the suggestions today. I appreciate them very much. And we'll move forward. And if my door is open, also if anybody has any other concerns or questions you want to discuss. Thank you.
On Senator Mohamed's motion that this bill is passed and re-referred to Health and Human Services. Is that your motion, Senator Mohamed? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The bill passed and the motion prevails.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Very much.
We are now going to, and thank you, members. I know that we have to try to go as efficiently as possible because we do have at least 3 more bills left. We're now going to Senator Wiklund. We will now hear Senate File 1676. And it's my understanding we'll have 2 testifiers that will join Senator Wiklund at the table. That would be Tim Bussey, who's the mayor of the city of Bloomington, and Jamie Verbethen, who's the city manager of the city of Bloomington. So let me say welcome, and I always look forward to seeing Senator Wiklund. Senator Wiklund, welcome to the committee, and give us your opening statements, and let's go forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate your taking time today to hear Senate File 1676. I do have an author's amendment. I don't know if you want me to present my opening comments first, or if you want to take that.
Let's take that author's amendment. Let's see, Senator Hurd, let's see, let me just make sure I have it first. Senator Hurd moves the A1 amendment. Any discussions on the A1 amendment? This is the author's amendment. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The A1 amendment is adopted. Senator Wiklund, opening statements for 1676 as amended.
Thank you very much. And I'm really pleased to be here to present Senate File 1676, which provides resources to the City of Bloomington Port Authority and the World Expo Host Committee in the event that the United States of America is chosen to host the 2027 World Expo. As you will learn from the testifiers, the United States is competing to host the next World Expo, and if the USA is chosen, Minnesota will host the event. This bill, Senate File 1676, will assist financially in the massive undertaking that will need to begin in this calendar year to get ready for the event. A few pieces of information worth noting. The World Expo is expected to draw 7.6 million unique visitors to Minnesota from around the world and create a $2 billion economic activity level. In addition to unanimous support from Minnesota's congressional delegation in passing the congressional legislation that was needed, Presidents Obama, Trump, and Biden have all supported this effort. Finally, if the USA is not chosen as the host country, the appropriation in this bill would be returned to the general fund. As you mentioned, Mr. Chair, I have with me the mayor of Bloomington and the city manager of Bloomington, and would like them to speak to the bill.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. We certainly welcome you. We'll start with Mayor Bussey.
Mr. Chair, Senators, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you to Senator Wiklund for authoring this bill. My name is Tim Bussey. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the mayor of the city of Bloomington. The bill before you today is a very important request to continue supporting the efforts of the United States and the state of Minnesota in our pursuit of Expo 2027 and to plan for success. Now, I know not everyone is familiar with Expo, so I want to provide a quick overview. And then if it pleases the chair, I'd like Mr. City Manager Jamie Verbrugi, he would be available to discuss a little more detail of the bill and what it all means. So what is a World Expo? Well, simply put, it's a World's Fair. The United States has a long history with World's Fairs, including some iconic legacies, including the Space Needle in Seattle, the Unisphere in New York, and historic museums in Chicago. But it has been 4 decades since the last World's Fair was hosted in the United States. So a group of Minnesotans have been working with our partners in Washington, D.C. to bring the world back to the United States and to do it right here in Minnesota. Expo 2027 is a specialized exposition organized around the title of Healthy People, Healthy Planet, Wellness and Well-Being for All, and a theme of health and well-being, which shapes every aspect of our life on this planet. In all parts of the world, health and well-being is the single most important prerequisite for things like economic prosperity, a sustainable planet, and flourishing urban and rural life. To have success in any of those areas, we must first be a healthy, thriving people. Coming out of the global pandemic and amidst the challenge of climate change, the timing for this event focused on this conversation could not be better. And there is no better place in the United States to host an event focused on health and wellness than right here in Minnesota, where we have some of the leading research, education, manufacturing, and health delivery systems in the nation and in the world. And quite frankly, I am very excited that Minnesota will be the host city when we welcome the world to Minnesota. Again, thank you, Mr. Chair, for hearing this bill and providing this opportunity to discuss Expo with you. With me, as I said, is Bloomington City Manager Jamie Verbrugi, who would also like to provide testimony if you would permit it, sir.
Thank you so much to the city manager. Welcome to the committee. State your name for the record and give us your brief testimony.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Senators. My name is Jamie Verbrugi. I'm the city manager in Bloomington. Expo 2027 will be organized and operated as a public-private partnership. An independent, not-for-profit 501c3 organization will be established as the host organization, and that organization will be designated by the United States government to plan, design, build, and operate Expo. Bloomington will be the host city for the event, as the mayor said. The public-private partnership financial model for Expo 2027 relies substantially on revenues from corporate sponsorship and from ticket sales. So cash flow for Expo is heavily backweighted, with a large portion of the revenue coming from ticket sales and a secondary but also large amount coming from sponsorships. And as I said, it's backweighted, which means those revenues do not come in until shortly before the actual event itself. So the challenge is that the host committee and Bloomington as the host city will need to immediately start work this summer, long before any of the budgeted revenue comes in. So the bill asks for $10 million to the Bloomington Port Authority to provide funding for the Expo host organization. The funds would be provided to the host organization via an agreement with the Bloomington Port Authority. It would be used to finalize the Expo dossier, which is a requirement of the Bureau of International Expositions, to do development planning and coordination related to real estate, to do development planning and coordination related to the public-private partnerships, for infrastructure design and planning, financial modeling and projections, and to staff the host organization for the actual organizational and host activities. So, Mr. Chair and members, as the mayor said, this is such an exciting opportunity for Minnesota and for the United States, and I really want to thank you for giving us a chance to share it with you. The mayor and I are happy to answer any questions that you might have. And
Thank you.
Senator
And
Wiklund.
before we get some questions asked from the committee, I just want to turn committee members, just know that you have some brochures, that's some one-sheeters. Also, you have a support letter, also from the Minneapolis Regional Chamber as well. And with that, Senator Hurd, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm excited about this, and but you know, I'm not an expert at this at all. And I wonder, does it require ticket, like local folks? Is it open for local folks to be part of it, as in terms of attendance?
To either one of the testifiers.
Mr. Chair, Senator Hurd, members, it would be a ticketed event for all folks. And the ticketing structure right now for individual day passes, for multiple day passes, it has not been established, but it would be a ticketed event for anyone who would like to attend.
Okay.
Any follow-up questions, Senator Hurd?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just heads up, I just like to give opportunity for people on all level to be able to attend, especially young people of certain area of our state that face economic challenge.
Thank you, Senator Hurd. Any additional questions for the testifier? Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Senator Wiklund, for bringing this forward. So if you were able to get the bid, what other funds will be needed to pull it off? I mean, so this is kind of the pre-planning, if you will. So if you're successful, can you just give us a real brief description what the needs would be after that?
To the mayor or to the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Draheim. So as a public-private partnership, the expectation is there's going to be significant amount of private money in this, and that's why I emphasize the sponsorship and the ticket revenue as the primary revenues for this. But we also know there's a public piece of the public-private partnership, and so there's actually 3 tiers here: the federal government, the state government, and then our local governments between the city and the county. The city and the county have already put a fair amount of resource into the pursuit of this effort. The federal government recently authorized $25 million for the Expo Pavilion at the Osaka Expo in 2025, which is really important because the United States needs to be a strong and active participant in other expos in order to be awarded an expo here. So the commitment from the federal government is very strong. So between the local and the federal, and then hopefully the state stepping in, we think that we can fulfill the public-private partnership. And like I said, some of the funds are going to be going into infrastructure. It will be going into the development plan itself, and then obviously making sure that we can pull off a really grand event that the state can be proud of.
Thank you so very much. Any additional questions? Senator Draheim.
Thank you for your response, and thank you, Chair. I guess, so when I have a little vision of what I would expect would be needed for the size of something like this from what I've seen on TV. And we're talking $100 million probably. Would that be an appropriate number to do the infrastructure and everything that would be needed to host this event?
To the testifier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And if you can shorten those answers, it would be great.
Mr. Chair and Senator Draheim, The total estimated budget was about $1.5 billion for the actual development and the operation organization of the event itself. Obviously, infrastructure is an important piece of it, but one of the really important messages in selling Bloomington and Minnesota is frankly that we're Expo ready. The nice thing about the South Loop District in Bloomington is most of the infrastructure is already there. You know, we have the airport right there, we have the freeways right there, we have the sewer and the water is already there. We need some upsizing capacity. But other than supportive infrastructure for the event itself, most of it's already in place.
Thank you.
Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, this sounds wonderful. It sounds awesome. But I've heard recently some research about what happens after an Olympics or a World's Fair, one of those kinds of things. And particularly a lot of communities that have invested heavily to prepare for an Olympics, then becoming pretty dilapidated and forlorn afterward. This sounds awesome, but I'm wondering, to what extent does after planning play in your consideration of what you're talking about right now?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chair, Senator, members, I appreciate your question and agree completely. We have said all along that this is an economic development issue for Bloomington and for the region, for the entire region. The 90-day event will be wonderful. The long-term economic development will be the key to this entire event. I can assure you, we're not building pole barns and tents to host this, and the decision, or the stated goal is to make sure that we keep as much of that infrastructure in place after the event. And so after the event, to do a quarter turn or a half turn on the facilities and turn them into something that can be used long-term, whether it's med tech or whether it's offices or a variety of different things that are not yet set in stone, but we've contemplated and talked about what different possibilities would be. And agree with your analogy to a point regarding the Olympics, but to be clear, we're not building luge tracks and ski jumps here. This is more of a development, an office-type development, an event-type development. So it's slightly different than the Olympics and the problems that they've had with reuse of those facilities after the event is passed.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, closing comments, and then we will lay Senate File 1676 on the table for possible inclusion. Senator Wiklund.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just appreciate the opportunity to present the bill, and this, I believe, will be it would be a great opportunity for our state to take part in this, and look forward to being able to be considered for your omnibus bill.
With that, Senate File 1676 is laid over for possible inclusion. Thank you to the testifiers. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
We now go to the very patient Senator Oumou Verbeten for Senate File 1566. Senator, once you come forward, you could also bring your testifier with you, Tim Watkins, who's with Fair Contracting Foundation. Once you are settled, please feel free to give us your opening statements, and then we'll go to your testifier. Senator Oumou Verbeten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's great to be back in jobs. Today, I'm presenting Senate File 1566. And I'll just give a brief description of what this bill does before handing it over to a testifier. Under current law, Minnesota Statute 116J.871, it requires the payment of prevailing wage rates to construction workers on projects funded by deed economic development grants. Like on other prevailing wage sites, there are record-keeping requirements for contractors who work on this site, and all employers are required to collect and keep certified payroll records for compliance purposes. That's really how we're able to ensure that the prevailing wage is actually being paid. But unlike other prevailing wage projects, these certified payroll records are kept by a state agency, since DEED gives out the grants and doesn't technically hold the construction contracts. This bill will simply make DEED the contracting authority for the purposes of collecting that certified payroll record. If this bill passes, all projects in Minnesota where state law requires the payment of prevailing wage rates will then have the same record-keeping requirements and be subject to that same public oversight. This bill does not expand the requirement to pay prevailing wage or increase it in any way. It simply creates uniformity in the ability to ensure that construction workers working on state-funded projects are being paid what they're legally entitled to be paid.
Thank you, Senator. To your testifier, Mr. Tim Watkins, for your 2 minutes of testimony. Please provide it and state your name for the record and who you're with, and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Tim Watkins. I am the Education and Policy Coordinator for the Fair Contracting Foundation. We are a nonprofit construction compliance monitor representing the men and women of Minnesota's building trades, as well as 2,100 signatory contractors. And this bill before you is really more of a technical fix to the already existing prevailing wage requirements on projects that receive state financial assistance for economic development. It is not an expansion of prevailing wage, but merely brings the compliance process for these projects into alignment with how most other state agencies, such as DOT, admin, MnSCU, natural resources, et cetera, all administer prevailing wage. Specifically, this legislation will ensure that the certified payroll reports generated by contractors are accessible to the public in the same way as they are for other state-funded projects. The reason for this fix is because the current law only specifies that economic development grant or loan recipients certify in advance that prevailing wage will be paid. That certification currently takes the form of a one-page document that is attached to the grant or loan agreement and is signed by the recipient, which acknowledges that certified payrolls are required of all contractors working on the project, and then gives the Department of Labor and Industry the ability to request those certified payrolls from any of the contractors. Under this process, only Mindali has the ability to obtain these certified payrolls to verify compliance. For all other state agencies, the process is much simpler. Contractors must submit certified payrolls to the agency within 2 weeks of the end of each work week. The contracting agency maintains those records and makes them available to the general public through the usual Minnesota government data practices process, allowing the public to perform its role in overseeing government investments in infrastructure. All that this legislation does is make the compliance process for state agencies that dole out financial assistance for economic development projects the same as it is for all other state agencies. Again, it is not an expansion of prevailing wage, but merely a technical fix to the compliance process that will allow for greater transparency in state spending. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Any questions for the testifier? Seeing that, any closing comments by Senator Oumou Verbeten, and then we'll lay it over for possible inclusion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think there's much else I would add, just a technical fix, and hope this committee will take action on it.
Thank you so much. With that, Senate File number 1566 will be laid over for possible inclusion. Members, the last bill before us is going to be my Senate File 2369. I'm going to hand the gavel over to the capable Vice Chair. Oh.
1 minute, I can do that. I did 1:30 earlier today, so we can do it.
Does he have any?
Yeah. We can do it.
Oh, we can do it.
Okay. Senator Champion, you have Senate File 2369. You have a testifier. You can begin.
All right, thank you. Madam Chair, thank you to the committee. This bill is pretty straightforward. As you know, that Explore Minnesota Tourism Council, it consists right now of 28 members. We're asking for it to be increased to 35 members. And we're also asking that 14 of those representatives of statewide associations also include craft beverage establishments, as well as chambers of commerce for underrepresented communities and tribal nations. We're also asking that we change on line 1.16, the number of representatives of tourism business represented transportation increase from 6 to 10, and also include entities that are arts and culture, sports, outdoor recreation, and tourism business owners from unrepresented organizations as well. That is what we are asking for, and we can go to my testifier who can explain why these changes are being proposed.
Great, thank you. If you can state your name for the record, you can begin your testimony.
Thank you, Vice Chair, and Chair Champion. My name is Lauren Bennett McGinty. I'm the Executive Director of Explore Minnesota Tourism, and these changes will allow us to ensure that we are more diverse, equitable, and inclusive at Explore Minnesota, and making sure that membership is increasing collaboration across the broader interests of the tourism industry across the state. Tourism has grown significantly, and the businesses involved in tourism have grown significantly, and we want to address those changes. The larger council will provide additional insights into growing the economic impact of tourism, and this collective leadership will allow us to better tackle the tourism workforce challenges that exist across the state.
Thank you, Director. Members, questions for Senator Champion or his testifier?
Just
Senator Her?
want to comment or maybe internal remark. I'm glad this is, I'm glad we have bill like this so that we are more inclusive, and this is the beginning, having people diverse at the table so we can plan on long haul. But I'm also eager even this year to put some dollars into, promote, local venue that are diverse. And Senator Bobby Joe Champion, Mr. Chair, and Director, we did talk a little bit about this a number of times. So I do have that eager for this year too, but I like this plan as well.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Senator Champion, closing comments?
Just lay it over for possible inclusion, and we'll look forward to the committee potentially including it in its omnibus bill or its policy bill.
Great. This bill will be laid over for possible inclusion. With that, members, that concludes our business for this meeting, and the committee is adjourned.